The blizzards of the night before have passed, and the snow capping the mountaintops melts to reveal Ice Age traces of eons gone by. Cold and lofty, desolate and lonely, this is the roof of Taiwan. The icy cold snowscapes and jagged bare rocks, fringed with perilous banks of scree, shock and amaze the sons and daughters of the subtropical lowlands. They tell the dramatic story of Taiwan's creation. Rising well over 2,500 meters above sea level, Taiwan's mountains are covered in ancient plants. Almost half the species there are endemic. They are home to unique indigenous cultures, diverse ecosystems, and a world of breathtaking views. The island of Taiwan is located just off the southeast coast of the Asian continent. Subduction of the Philippine Sea Plate forced its towering mountains upwards. Millions of years of earth-moving events and dramatic climate change caused the land to buckle and twist to form the magnificent landscapes of today. 5 main mountain ranges form the backbone of Taiwan. Their tall, craggy peaks carve an ocean of giant waves, rising and falling in a series of arcs and crescendos. This spine-like formation on a north-south axis is the source of the island's main rivers. These courses cut deep ravines and echoing valleys through the undulating peaks. Geologists believe that Taiwan's Yushan, Xueshan, and Nanhu Dashan ranges all bear glacial scars dating back to the Ice Age. Many of the species still living there were brought by the ice. For instance, the high mountain juniper and other conifers are related to Himalayan species. Their presence in Taiwan reveals the secrets of that distant time and proves that these rocks were baptized by ice as well as fire, by glaciers that carved the codes by which we can decipher the mysteries of life on Earth. Taiwan is a fragile but fortunate island. Its high-altitude ecology says it all. At over 3,600 meters, Taiwan becomes a world of unstable rock and scree slopes. This barren environment and harsh climatic conditions limit tree growth. Only gnarled high mountain junipers, hardy alpines, and shrubs like the Yushan rhododendron can survive here. Even at the edge of sheer rock, the high mountain juniper proudly unfurls its branches. It curls relentlessly like a serpent around wind-blown talus. It is the statuesque bleached wood at Xiuguping, sometimes upright, sometimes reclining. It is the leafy giant reflected in Xueshan's Lake Cui. Tempered by nature, the juniper has a certain elegance. Its philosophy for survival is extreme. It twists and stretches into the environment as and where it can. Early on spring mornings, the sun's vivid rays paint the mountains golden yellow. Fragments of clay slate on collapsed rock faces reflect its white light. Rhododendron rubipilosum and Yushan rhododendron Formosa pieris burst into a riot of color after the spring monsoon rains. Their bright petals create a symphony of multi-hued notes that only those who truly understand the music of mountain forests can hear and appreciate. On the mountain walls, delicate alpine flowers push forth. They smile in the warm sun and face the blue sky. Purple geranium, dianthus, violet bellflower, scabious, golden barberry, hypericum, sedum, snow white campion, and starwort. This is the palette that creates this splendid show. The noon sun blazes like fire. The south-facing grassy banks on drier, less steep slopes are covered with Yushan cane and alpine silver grass. The native tree brown inhabits Alishan thistles. In gaps in the grasses, mountain orchids and gentians push forth, holding their fine stems upright. They bring an air of grace to these grassy areas, and their exquisite floral scent lingers in the breeze. If the bright colors of summer in the mountains are a dashing sonata, then autumn's Yushan cane plains are the last notes of summer sunlight. Winter's ice and snow, then, are the color of silence. The ridges of Mount Andongjun and Nunggao are Taiwan's largest stretch of grassland and most diverse alpine lake scenery. Dotted throughout the wide expanse of rippling green grassland are sparkling, crystal-clear natural lakes. Here, the mountains become secondary. Silently reflected in the boundless tarns, they listen to the gentle swash of water against the shore with endemic tile darners. Like other alpine lakes in Taiwan, these pools are the primary watering holes of wild animals. Their borders are patterned with a patchwork of animal tracks. The postprandial stillness evades. A Formosan nutcracker lingers on a Kawakami fir branch. An alpine accenter rests on a jutting rock. Looking down onto the range from above, the Yushan cane grassland and Kawakami fir forest weave a patchwork of colors that changes with the rise and fall of the land. Zhurong, the Chinese god of fire, seems to have passed this way in a not-too-distant era. The dynamic balance of life and decay caused by natural fires creates the inlaid patterns between forest and grassland. After the fires, the forests recede into damper north-facing slopes and valleys, while the grasslands expand up onto the ridges of the mountains. The blackened remains of Kawakami firs left by the fires and other parent trees on the forest edge let their winged seeds be carried by the wind and take root in the charred earth. Without natural fires, the firs would encroach into the grassland at an average rate of 10 meters every 30 years, and these alpine grasslands would almost certainly have become fir forests within just a few 100,000 years. At over 3,000 meters, Kawakami firs form Taiwan's highest forest belts. Xueshan's famous Black Forest and the White Forest created by a recent fire are some of the most extraordinary natural Kawakami fir landscapes in Taiwan. In May and June, the Kawakami fir's peachy yellow pollen cones appear beneath its needle-shaped leaves. Dark burgundy female cones grow upwards on tapering branches. In July, the female cones turn sapphire blue in color, and fragrant transparent resin oozes from between the cone scales to catch the pollen. In November, the cones mature and the scales pop open, releasing the winged seeds into the wind. Finally, the scales flake off, leaving only bare cores at the end of the branches. Within the Black Forest, the towering Kawakami firs manifest the fleeting passing of time in their strong, upright forms. At the feet of these giants, tiny flowers and herbs give their own interpretation of the cycle of life. The Formosan gooseberry, Yushan rose, Taiwan mountain ash grow at the forest edge, catching at the clothes of visitors as if inviting them to stop and admire them. Glimpses of Formosan striped squirrels, Owlson's long-nosed tree squirrels, and venacious rose finches never cease to thrill and amaze. Walking through Taiwan's alpine forests, you cannot help but be mesmerized by the rugged outline of the Taiwan hemlock. The transition to pure hemlock announces our arrival at between 2,700 and 3,000 meters. The spreading branches of Taiwan hemlocks open like huge umbrellas. Their silhouettes resemble naive paper cutouts, blending into the mountain mist and cloud. It is as if we have stepped into a contemplative Zen painting. Thick mist shrouds the hills, and the piercing whistle of the Taiwan laughing thrush resounds from the forest. Formosa nutcrackers search for food on the forked branches of a Taiwan Armand pine. Down below, Borneo wintergreen erupts in a profusion of berries like strings of pearls. Vastly different from the Taiwan hemlock in appearance, the Morrison spruce stands tall and solemn in more moist valleys, sometimes in groups, sometimes alone. Schefflera taiwaniana, Uria glaberrima, Photinia niitakayamensis, Euphrasia transmorrisonensis, and others make good companions. The soft creaking of the pines, their fresh scent, the carpet of needles underfoot. These remind us that Taiwan's mountains are places to escape the sweltering summer heat. No man-made artifice or hubbub, just pure, still nature, peaceful and restorative. When the wind is still, the clouds do not race. The Taiwan red pine, growing at between 2,500 and 3,000 meters, is a fire-dependent species. It needs the searing heat of forest fires to open its serotinous cones. Only then can the pine communities regenerate. Stealing through the idle Taiwan red pine forest, winding through the river valleys at the foot of the mountain, all is still and windless. A Sonan salamander crawls along the riverbed, listening to the bird song. It watches the white clouds rise lazily from the forest and drift in the heavens. Night slowly approaches, and the stars sparkle up high. One by one, the withered Kawakami fir trees appear pale and beautiful in the moonlight. White-faced flying squirrels dart between them, raising the curtain on the night. Wise visitors choose to camp up in the mountains, setting up tent in this heavenly place close to the sun, the moon, and the stars. Climbing up to the mountain roof of Taiwan, you don't see Mother Earth's usual skin of soft brown soil. Here, she is clad in cold, hard rocks and giant boulders. Weathered and cracked by the roaring wind, the rocks have collapsed in places, but their wounds are healed by tiny colored flowers and grasses that attract buzzing insects and chirruping birds. The existence of alpine communities in subtropical Taiwan signifies the island's high level of biological diversity. The song of the indigenous Bunun people reaches the ear. Its crisp, chromatic tones are as primeval, simple, and powerful as the mountains, like the sound of flowers opening. This sacred music can only be heard and appreciated in the hushed atmosphere of the mountains. The beauty of these high mountains lies in the plant communities that cover them, in the rare and beautiful wild animals that inhabit them, in the bare rocks that resist the harsh tests of time and climate, in the awe-inspiring mountain rivers linking heaven and earth, in experiencing this place for yourself and finding your place within it. The ever-changing clouds blend all this into one, the diverse ecosystem of Taiwan's high-altitude regions. Whether the clouds gather or disperse, the flowers bloom or wither, the land rises or falls, the mountains are still mountains. Their shifting face but constant spirit await us. But the harsh climatic and fragile topographic conditions of Taiwan's mountain regions make it hard for them to recover if they are destroyed by overexploitation and commercial development, both of which directly and indirectly affect the survival of numerous wild plant and animal species. No mountain is replaceable. Experience them for yourself. We must protect Taiwan's precious mountains together.